to our little cabin out back. And I took about 3 steps onto the deck, and my feet were going way faster than my shoulders. Eventually, I realized I was never going to be able to get my shoulders up there, and thank God that I took the 3 steps out onto the deck, because my head hit the deck.
Ouch.
Made of wood instead of the stoop made of concrete, so I seem to have survived. But who knows what the repercussions are. No big goose egg on the back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, anyway.
Well, I did drop and roll, which Dr. Kennelly says was the thing I was supposed to do. So I went down, and I immediately rolled off of my knee and into the road. So off the sidewalk onto the road, lying there, Marilyn Monroe style, dressed over my head. So, when all the workers came to help me out. So.
Oh, great. That's one thing. People are very helpful there when, it's not like if you're in a big city where people just wonder what wonder what's causing her such a spastic.
Yeah, look at that drunk on the side of the road. Anyways, it was 11 o'clock.
Cameras off.
Oh well, and Bill was there.
Yeah, Bill was standing beside me. I was just passing something to him. It was a sidewalk all along the apartments at the back of Totonaca. And it's a nice sidewalk. It's all the same color. It's beautiful. And I thought it was all flat. Only at one point, it went up about 6 inches. But instead of doing a step, they just did a little ramp.
I know.
And it went just like that. And I hit somewhere on there. And it was the same color. There was no marking.
Yeah.
So there I was.
Yeah. It's pretty deadly setup.
Yeah.
I know that's why when we go to Yelapa to play croquet, the Yelapans are so good at playing the roles. They're just like Tiger Woods in his golf ball, and because they see it so much that we don't, because we're used to North America where everything is done by engineers. We're on engineered surfaces.
Hey, I just want to take a second and say I've hit the streaming button, so we are live on YouTube. I am Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions. We are the San Carlos Computer Club, and I will be in and out of this discussion because I'm obviously at an office doing work. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Judy, Chester, Jim, James, Bill, and Cheryl. I'm hoping Cheryl will be our linchpin today. So in typical fashion, I have sent out a document. I don't know if you all have access to it or not. I've added a couple of news items, and I also just wanted to mention that, again, next week I may not be available. Week after that, I may not be available. I'm planning on our next official meeting where I'm part of it as being January 9th as a virtual meeting, and then we'll go back to in-person meetings with me at least, because it looks like Bill and Cheryl are in person, starting on the 16th, the week after that, 16th of January. And one of the things that I wanted to quickly bring up is I haven't had a chance to do the upgrade to the iPhone. Have any of you gone to 17.2?
Yes.
I see Judy's hand is up. Do you have any comments you'd like to make about it?
It was a smooth update. Everything is working as it was before. I've done it on my iPhone and my iPad.
Awesome. And no complaints so far? No, do you notice any difference in battery life?
No, there's some differences in photos and things like that it actually searches for duplicate photos, which I have many. But
nice.
I haven't gone through them all. And what else? Oh, the screen on my iPhone, the phone screen is a lot different. I don't know that I like it, so I've got to tweak it a bit.
Well, what do you mean by the phone screen? The resolution?
Well, hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Cheryl, Bill, have you guys had a chance to update the iPhone yet? 17.2? No?
Mine's still at 16. I've checked. Maybe I did the iPhone. or the iPad.
I know
My
BB's been grabbing them as soon as they're new, and I'm like, remember, you don't have another phone. She's like, it's all right, I'm gonna do it. She doesn't
Yeah.
even ask me for permission or guidance. She just does it.
I'm 16.7.2 on the phone, and I'm not sure what I am on the iPad.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So-
17.1.2 on the iPad now. Seems to be working good.
Well, there's a 17.2.
17.1.2. So yeah, there's a 17.2 that's just come out.
Mhm.
And actually, in the article I was reading most recently, said that 17.3 is in beta,
Wow.
and that's going to include a dozen security
Can you
fixes.
see this?
Yeah,
So it's much different.
this is when making a call. The call
That's when
screen
making
looks
a
different.
call, and like if I wanted to go to speaker, oops. I don't know what I need to do there. Info. Okay, if I want it to go, it's just different and I don't like it.
Can I
so-
see? Here, hold it up for us again. I want to see it. Hold
Okay,
it up.
hold on. 1 second, let me make that call again. I don't
Okay.
want it to go to. Okay,
Okay. All right.
so if I wanted
You
it
said-
to do, I click the audio button and then I have the option of going to speaker.
Okay, so this is what the 16 looks like.
Simply enter your track.
So anyway, that's 17.2.
Hold on, I'm trying to get my, okay, this is the dial screen of 16. And so the buttons are at the bottom, which would
Yeah, I
make
don't
sense
care
because the
for it.
phones
It's
are getting
also-
bigger.
It's also grayed out
Mm.
and I just don't care for it.
It's just change.
Sure.
It's changed and I don't like it, so I'll try and figure out how to change it back to. When I do an update, I expect things to look exactly the way they do before
Sure.
on those kinds of things.
I updated also, and my background, like yours, is dark black, not
Huh.
gray.
Well, that's interesting. What model iPhone do you have, Chester?
I have the simple, cheap one,
Is that the SE
What does
model?
that mean?
SE.
Is it the second generation, maybe?
Could be.
Yeah, it would be
new.
from 2020, I think.
And mine's a 12.
So that might be the gray versus the black might actually have something to do with the screen technology. I would have to
Maybe.
look it up, but maybe you have an OLED screen and
I mean,
Chester has
mine
an
is
LCD to screen.
normally black. I prefer the black background. I can see it better. So that's
I've
what
just-
mine normally is.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the gray represents a capacity that your phone has that Chester doesn't, regardless of whether you prefer it or not. It might be something Apple thought was cool that is only possible on a later device.
And I don't know where I would look.
I think we'd have to look up you're a 12, right? We'd have to look at
Yes.
what kind of screen. I wonder if we can do I'm always afraid to touch my computer when we're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this.
Maybe it's under display. No, it's
Well,
not
we
under
have
display. And I looked at
iPhone
phone and it wasn't there.
12 display versus iPhone SE 2020. So the 12, the 12 has a 6.1 Super Retina OLED HDR display with a 2K resolution. The iPhone SE 2020 is an LCD display that is less than 1K. It's higher than, I guess it's 1K. It's 1K. So you have a 2K display, Chester has a 1K display, Chester has an LCD display, and you have an OLED. And so what I'm imagining is that Apple thought they were putting on a background of higher contrast, giving more grays. and your screen is able to take advantage of that, and Chester's isn't. Chester's is black or it's white, and your screen is like, oh no, I got all these variations that it can appear. Regardless of the aesthetic you prefer, I bet that's what's
Right.
going on.
And when I type in change phone app background on the iPhone 12, it wants me to change the entire background, and I don't want to do that, or change the wallpaper or all that. And I really, that all
Well,
didn't
you have, so what
change.
that would be the dial screen. Can you change the background of the
Dial
screen?
screen?
The dialer or the dial screen? And I'm not familiar with ever being able to do that.
I've
There
never
might
seen that before.
there might be, no, I'm not, you're not gonna, I doubt you're gonna find it in settings. We should do a Google search. But I think,
That's what I was doing, and you think it's called a dial screen?
yeah, I think that's how we refer to it, as the dialer or the dial screen. And I would be surprised if you can change it without a third-party app, if at all.
Okay. iPhone 12 Pro, how to set incoming calls background image? No. iOS 17 is making a big change to your call screen. Huh. What you need to know by Tom.
Gray call screen. iOS 17, gray call screen. Now with 17, the call screen is an ugly gray color with all the buttons that used to be in the middle to the bottom. This is like you wrote it, Judy. Were you complaining to customer support?
No, but I'm glad somebody did.
This is a discussion on Apple.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the end call button is now on the bottom right rather than the middle of the screen. Really? I mean, ridiculous.
They seem to just change it for there's no point.
Here, this is beautiful.
No.
Hi, Patrick. Yes, I totally agree with what you said. It's hard to see the end call button. What are they thinking or not thinking? What changed? Something pleasant to look at is so gray. And Chester is not even aware of it because his screen isn't able to take that isn't able to display that setting, whatever setting Apple decided it must be. Chester's locked into the old school way of doing it.
So maybe they'll take note and change.
That'll be the next iteration now.
Oh, in fact, here we go. Here's somebody that says, I just spoke to Apple support. They said the gray call screen was part of the iOS 7 update. They gave me this link and said I should state my dissatisfaction there.
Oh, good.
So there's actually, I'm gonna copy this link and stick it into our document.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But I love how it's like, it's not like, oh, you can change this. It's, you can call and let Apple tell you why you're wrong.
Complain.
Though we respect your opinion, you must point out that you're wrong because we've done it this way.
Good morning, Fred.
Hey, Fred's with us. Hey, Fred.
Morning, Fred.
I put the link in the chat and now I'm going to put it on our document. Now, I guess I should open it up to verify that it's going to work. I'm breaking my own rules. I'm sharing stuff without testing it myself.
So there's one other thing that sounds interesting that I didn't notice. The check-in feature that's now part of iOS 17 messages lets family and friends automatically know when you've made it home safely. What if I don't want them to automatically know?
That's right.
I mean, it's my
Well, you can
choice.
turn it off.
Do you think I can? Do you think I need to?
Yeah, I think you have to opt into it.
Or do I have to opt out?
Well, you would have to identify those phones that are part of your family. So I think you have to opt in. I mean, I don't know for certain, but it makes sense that you'd have to opt in.
It works best with Apple Watches, which I don't have. It traces your route. Supposed to make my life easier.
You don't find this easier?
No.
How can you be a subordinate clause and go out shopping without anybody knowing?
Well, exactly. No, it's not something that I would use. I probably should, but I'm of the generation that don't track me. As much as I can opt out, I do.
A little bit gypsy.
A little bit.
Well, I definitely
Like-
think that's the way any of these things should be implemented. As you have to opt in. You don't have to. I can see some exceptions.
1, 2, 3.
Like,
Oh, it is.
for example, I've got kids, and I've got kids under my family account. Like they're linked together as we're part of a family. So if they instituted a feature like this, I could imagine it being appropriate for it to be on by default, and you could choose not to use it with your family. To Judy's concern, since she doesn't have people linked to her under a family account, then I think it's appropriate for it to be off, and you can opt in those members of your family. You follow the distinction I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, but I personally, especially we live in a third world country, I could really enjoy the idea that like Yuya pulls into the driveway and I get a message saying she's home, and the kids get back from school on the bus. I really like the idea that they're home. It's just a bit of well, in this world, I know I grew up in a generation where my parents didn't know where we were half the time.
Right.
That worked out.
The world we're living in, well, that's one way to look at it, or there are people that died too. I'm just still here. I made it through that time period. Do you take the extra risk when you don't have to? Do you appreciate not having to worry? I bet my parents worried a lot. Where I might be at a certain time when I said I would be back home and am not and haven't called. I think there's a market for it, and I can see good use cases for it.
And here's another one that I don't know about. It says, shared with you, allow content shared with you in messages to automatically appear in selected apps. So when I click on that, it's apps like Amazon, Google Maps, Pages, blah, 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 blah. So why would that be a good thing?
So is this the article that we were looking at before? Yes, last week?
Possibly. I wasn't here last week. I had a board meeting.
I'm just trying to get a feel for the list you're going down. Can you give me a link to it?
I'm actually on messages under settings.
Oh, are you just looking at like new features that are being told to you? Okay.
I guess it's a new feature. I don't know. Weird.
Shared with me, I think of that as, since I don't have any real reference on my end, I think of that as the share option that your mobile devices have, where you can be in an app and you can be looking at data, and you can, like the best example I can think of is you're on Facebook or Instagram and you want to send that to a friend, and so you use the share button.
You're
and
right,
then it
but
gives
Scott, this specifically says allow content shared with you in messages to automatically appear in selected apps. And some of those apps are Amazon Books, CNN Files, Google Maps, blah, 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 Photos, reminders. So I think that's a no.
Well, I think what this is referring to, and I could be wrong, but I think this is when you go to access that item that was shared with you, that if it's recognized as being openable in another app, an example would be like a link to an Amazon product, like, hey, Mom, look at this. I think you should buy this. And they send the link. When you click on that link, does it open up Safari and pull up a web page, or does it go into your Amazon app and put it in front of you in the Amazon app? Now, I don't know if that's what it's referring to, but that's what it sounds like to me.
I can copy and paste pretty good, so
Yeah.
I don't need my phone to do that for me, I don't think.
Well, I'll tell you, there are times like my kids, I'm always telling them, they find something, they're like, oh, Pop, I need this. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I can pay for it. And I'm like, all right, just send me the link. And they send me the link. And then when I
Right.
click on the link out of WhatsApp, where's it going to go? Is it going to go into my Amazon? A number of times I'll click on a link that they've sent me, and I'll go to a web page in a web browser that I'm not signed in, I'm not authorized. I can't do the purchase from there. And so now I've got to copy that link over to an app or a web browser where I've got passwords and I'm ready to sign into Amazon. Whereas if this is what I think it is, I could say, yes, open it up in these other apps, and it would be just straight in Amazon. Another example is that shopping on Instagram, which I'm not somebody to recommend, but Instagram has really got it dialed in. So often, if you're flipping through Instagram, something's being offered to you to buy that is absolutely something you would want to buy. I try very hard not to pay any attention to it because I don't want it to collect any more you can sell this stuff to Scott information. But I telling you, every day I look at it and go, I want to click on it. If I were to click on it, and I have, it opens up a web browser inside Instagram that is not authorized for my account. So I can get to Amazon, but I quite literally being asked to authorize through Instagram if I wanted to make that direct purchase. And I can imagine a feature like this means get out of Instagram, go over to the Amazon app to open this up. It could very well also be things like pictures. You open up the picture, whatever messenger you have is going to open up a window so you can see the picture. But maybe
it's not messenger, it's messages.
Okay.
It's specific messages.
Okay. So that would be referring to iMessage.
Exactly.
Right. But I think that it's a distinction without a difference. What I'm describing is the same kind of issue. Is like, are you going to allow your link in messages to open up Amazon, or is it going to go to the Safari browser? If you're going to open up a picture, is it going to open it up in a browser window, for lack of a better terminology, because Messenger can show you pictures, or do you want it to go right into the Photos app?
Right. But I still can't find the one that is going to automatically notify somebody by message if I've arrived. I still can't find where that might be located.
I'd like to be able to just modify that message to say whatever.
Right.
Be like, King Scott has now arrived, have trumpets play. Like being announced at some royal ball.
Right. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey, Fred, you stuck your hand up for a moment. Do you have any information on this, or want to comment, or have another topic? All of the above is okay. Did you just hit the wrong button? Which I doubt. Or maybe he's lost connection. We can't hear you. You're on mute. Maybe he can't hear me either. Well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. I put something in the in-call messaging. It's an article that, if we're done with that topic, can we do this one?
Sure. Especially if you've read it and you're ready to guide us through it.
Okay, well, I'm busy reading it. I got it this morning from one of my fellow book club members, and it's all about Goodreads. Now, Goodreads was set up by computer programmers and people that wanted to share books that they're reading. And it's turned into a very ranking, critical comments on different books. And it seems that somebody got into it and used pseudonyms and reviewed all the books of who she saw as perceived rivals and put them down and built hers up and did all these things. And so Goodreads is becoming quite controversial. And they're talking about, when do we need gatekeepers and when do we let social groups like this be run by the Wild West kind of attitude? And how much control do we need in things like book lists?
That's really interesting. I mean, I was in my 20s when I got online, and I remember when moderators, we used to have Usenet, which were discussion groups, and that was before internet was connected. We used a thing called DECnet.
Mm-hmm.
Computers would link together ever so often, like every hour. They'd make a phone call and they would update each other's data. And those discussion groups, even that long ago, those discussion groups instigated moderators. I remember moderators becoming a big deal because people were getting out of control with the way they were talking to each other. And so you'd have a group, just like you think of a discussion group now, just like we have a computer club discussion group, and it would be on whatever particular topic. And at some point in the existence of that group, the group would go, "That's no way to talk to each other. We need somebody that's moderating this behavior." And it has permeated all internet culture from the beginning and up till Goodreads, apparently. This is an old problem. This seems like a new twist on it. Amazon's dealing with this when it comes to reviews of products. They'll take vendors off of their marketplace if they learn that they are if they're promoting the idea of writing good reviews for them without trying products, but even more malicious, writing bad reviews of competing products. And there are click farms, for lack of a better word. There are groups out there organized, and their whole job is they get a contract to promote a certain product. And so they're out there writing reviews and clicking 5 stars and doing it in abundance to push these things up. It's not hard to imagine that the same thing is going on, maybe even the same groups pushing things down with bad reviews. And that's just a pay for service, a Mechanical Turk service.
So the last 2 paragraphs pretty well sum it all up. In the last couple of years, because there's been so many dumpster fires on Goodreads, it's pretty evident now to publishers that this isn't a platform that they can trust. So the agents and publishers up until now, maybe this year, have put tremendous stock in it, but authors for a very long time have been trying to get the word out that, hey, this is not a safe place for us. We have no protection. It's totally unhinged. So.
And I didn't read the article.
Is it going to be in the notes? I'll have to show that to Carolyn.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it's in there. I'll put it right now.
Carolyn and the other girls. Marjorie sent it to us, so I will forward it to everybody. Now, this is an article from The Guardian. I'm not familiar with The Guardian, but it's kind of interesting that at the end of the article, I've got a hello to you, dear reader from Mexico. It talks all about the news this year and the news coming up and how I really need to sign up for a subscription to The Guardian. So
well, that is every periodical, and The Guardian is a really well vetted English organization.
Yeah.
I highly respect most information that comes out of The Guardian.
Yeah. So this is the Guardian, their books section. David Smith in Washington is the author.
I'm adding the link to today's document, so if you guys want to look for the link along with the other ones, it'll be there. This was just yesterday. The Guardian. Yeah, so I as I was starting to say, I haven't read the article you did, but when they say it's not a safe platform for them, does that mean that Goodreads is attempting to be anything more than a review site? I'm
not sure. The authors really felt that they've been trolled, they've been put down, they've had questionable things said to them, so they want it stopped.
It's the publisher's version of Twitter.
Yeah. Chester has his hand up.
I see that. Chester, what would you like to add?
Well, I have a question on Facebook. Until just recently, I could click on news and I could get, about, 15 news information items. And today when I click on news, I get two. Any idea what's happened?
Where
This
do you
is
click on
Facebook?
news on Facebook?
Yeah, I want to know.
Well, I don't click on two, I just get two news items when I
But
click on
just
news.
yeah,
But you
where do you find news
Over on the left-hand side
of
uh,
Facebook?
on Facebook,
Now you got us all trying this out.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a news section.
I've got home, reels, marketplace, feeds, and notifications.
Yeah, I don't see anything called news.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cheryl's experience is different because of Canada and the
Oh.
news. Don't you guys have some kind of regulation going on now where
Yeah,
publishers have to get paid for sharing?
yeah,
And
that's one of the bills. Yeah, and Google has made a settlement, but I don't think Meta has. So
yeah,
we now see when we do Google searches, we see our news organizations articles. Chester, I'm wondering, are you using a browser or are you on a Facebook app?
I'm using the browser actually. Going through Google.
Okay, so I would bet that's your Google News, not a Facebook News, just because I don't see a category called news in anything on Facebook.
I frankly don't know how to get to Facebook without going through Google. I get everything Google. I get Wall Street Journal.
Chrome, yeah.
Chrome, yeah.
Yeah, so you're on Chrome and you go to facebook.com kind of website, and that's how you log into your Facebook. A lot of us use an app, and it takes us directly to Facebook, so it looks a little bit different. Bill, you sometimes use a browser.
Well, and I'm using a browser now just to verify what Cheryl's saying. I don't see any kind of news link here, so I kind of agree with Cheryl. I think Chester, you're probably going to Google News. Is there anything in the news results that looks branded Facebook?
Well, I can't go there now because I'm on the program with you. I may can. I'll see if I can get onto Facebook, but Google. I'll come back.
And if there was a news link, which wouldn't surprise me because things change in Facebook and you can have different settings. If there was a news link, I think that it would be very appropriate for Cheryl not to see that link and for people in the United States to see the link, because that's the way Meta's been dealing with some of these problems. They've just pulled all that out. And it's like, no, okay, if they're going to charge us, then we're just not going to do it. It's just going to be everything but news. And so there won't be any controversy in those countries. And I feel like Canada's one of those countries.
I'm connected with you through Google.
Yes, and for just Chester, you don't need to close this one down. At the top of your browser, you should see tabs. If you run your mouse over the different tabs, you can go to a different one and leave us running in here. And then you can look at other things and come back.
You should
I
be
see
able to.
one that says New tab.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the
I'll
one.
click on that and see what I do.
Should open up a new blank tab, and then you can use that.
He clicked off.
Okay.
I wonder if Chester has a subscription to the New York Times that he's doing, or is it just somehow Google is giving him the New York
Well, I know Google does have a like Chrome or Microsoft has news. Microsoft News has news, and it always runs down in the corner of my computer. So I'm not sure. Like I'm on my iPad right now, but when I'm on my Windows, I see news.
Yeah, news is big business. That's the reason they want to charge Facebook and Google for summarizing and putting it up instead of directing people to go use their own website.
Their website, yeah, they want a share of the profits going to the news outlet, as opposed to it always just going to the large corporation.
Chester's back. What was your experience, Chester?
Okay, I went to I went to the site, and they have news, and click on news, and they're news for you and home. And of course, I'm on home, and I get two news on only two informations. I'm quite sure I'm going through Google to do that.
Yes, yeah, it probably is Google. Is it Google News, you think? I'm going to bring up Google News in my window if you're watching along with me.
Or is it Microsoft News?
I really can't tell. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's Google News, you should be getting a full page of stuff.
I
If
thought
you're
we were
looking-
talking about Facebook news.
Well, there is.
I'm on the Facebook web page, and I can go to groups, and I often go to groups to watch what's going on in San Carlos or what's up San Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
And I go to Facebook and I see all of Facebook.
Hey, what Chester's talking about is a thing.
Is it? In
Yeah,
Facebook?
Facebook News. Facebook News, located in the News tab, is no longer available in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany.
Oh.
With Facebook News, you can catch up on today's headlines and stories if you care about the news. Get the latest updates about Facebook News. Chester's using a feature none of us have used. Didn't even know Facebook was doing it.
Well, I used to enjoy it because I could find out pretty quick what's going on all over the country real quick, but I'm not now.
So I have 18 different, I guess they're tabs, shortcuts that I can use. Memories, gaming, groups, all
Yep,
that kind of
same thing.
And I have nothing. I put see more, and there's nothing called news.
Yeah, what I was just reading from it, you can see on my screen still, I'm in the Facebook Help Center.
It says Android. When I typed in Facebook News, it was speaking about Android.
Oh.
Well, I am currently in the computer help section. There is an Android app section and an iPhone app section. Seems to be the exact same help, though.
I put in Facebook News in my address bar at the top, and it comes out Facebook News ban Canada. Like I just put Facebook News and then ban Canada is one of the suggested things. There's also one that says just Canada too. So I'll put ban Canada and see what it says.
I also found in my app, also from Meta, Meta Quest, Ray-Ban Meta, and WhatsApp. Ray-Ban Meta, the next generation of smart glasses.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's got a video
so
camera.
yeah, they've partnered with the brand to create mixed reality glasses.
Oh, just what I need. I'm having a hard enough time staying upright with the glasses I have.
Wow, this is very intriguing, Chester. I am currently looking for a way to enable news.
I just did.
Oh, you figured it out?
It's on Facebook.com.
Okay.
So I had searched for it on Safari, and it came up something that goes Facebook News, Facebook Help Center. And then if
That's
I
what
click
I've been
on that,
reading.
then it takes me to Facebook.com, and then it automatically pops up with news. It's got news, home, and new for you.
Oh,
All I can find is the
Interesting.
Help
Yeah.
Center. Get the latest update about Facebook news is the link in the Help Center. But how do you tips on spotting fake news? How did you get from the Help Center to the news?
Okay, so I was on Safari,
Yep.
which has become my least favorite. And I typed in Facebook news in my search bar,
Yep.
and it came up with Facebook news / Facebook Help Center.
Facebook news /
So I
Facebook
clicked
Help
on
Center.
that. It wasn't a slash. It was just,
On the
Yeah.
page you're looking at, does it mention that it's no longer available in UK, France, and Germany? Are we
yes,
looking
it
at?
does. Yes.
Okay, so that's the
Yes.
one I've been
And I
looking at.
clicked on that,
Wait, what do you click?
and
What
it
did you
says
click
it's
on?
only available in some countries.
This feature is only
And
available in
when I
some
click on,
countries.
yes.
Get the latest updates
But then
about
when I
Facebook
click
news.
on it, it goes directly to news when I click on that link on Safari or
so
with
I just did
Safari.
the same thing on
That's
Safari
interesting.
on the phone.
Whenever I click on Facebook / news, it returns me to the Help Center. Hey, is there anybody that besides Judy that's an American? Fred, are you with us?
So
Jim?
I've got Facebook News on
Oh, you got it up?
Safari, and it went to NBC News, breaking news, and
Right.
it said people in Canada can't see this content. So it came up. But
Oh, and
next
mine talks about the Colorado Springs temperatures. It gives me the first one is Iceland volcano, then it's blah 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 blah,
I need to find a browser.
So if I just
and it's all
Or-
different sources.
if I just search for news on my Facebook, I get breaking news, BBC News, CBC News. I get all the different. But Meta has a newsroom. News from Meta's communication team. 6 posts in the last 2 weeks. So it's interesting. Chester, does your news seem to come from different feeds, or did it look like it came from Meta?
It looks like it comes from Netflix.
Networks, no?
Yeah.
Facebook. When I actually copy the link, it is facebook.com/news/.
You know, I try and follow that link, and it always takes me back to the help article.
Because I just
I'm not doing this on the phone. I'm doing it on the
Firefox,
computer.
Yeah,
I'm doing it on the
cover-
computer as well.
www.facebook.com. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
put
doing
it.
it through Google. I'm doing it through Google.
Yeah, I am too.
It's
And
a bookmark. I have it as a bookmark in Google.
Mine is consistently returning to, and I'll put it back on this page. It's consistently returning to this Help Center article. And that
I
link.
don't have anything like that.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, Chester. I can't get access to it. I can't even get it to send me a message saying this doesn't exist. It just keeps returning me back to this Help Center message. I've tried various browsers. I've tried browsers where I'm not signed into to Facebook, but I am not having the experience you or Judy are having. It's very strange.
I'm trying it in Canada, and it does definitely shut me down and say that since August 1st, this has been shut down because they don't want to pay for it, and even if we're on Facebook, we can't post messages that we've copied from one of our news outlets.
Yeah, and in my memories, ever since August 1st, if I shared a news article, the news article is blanked out. You'll see my comments, under memories. On
Yep.
this day in 2020, I shared a news article about COVID, and the news article is no longer available.
So Chester, to answer your question, we have no idea.
We don't know why you're only seeing 2 titles.
I mean, I'm having such a different experience than you are, Chester, or Cheryl and Jim are, or Judy is. On my end, I'm going exactly where you guys are saying, and it continually brings up this help article, this help center. It redirects to the help center, explaining news. But I don't even get a feed saying this isn't available. I get no. So somebody ended up going to NBC. I got nothing like that coming up. It's just the help article talking about news. So I'm putting it in our notes.
I am working on an iPad, and I also did it on my iPhone.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting in our notes. I'm going to spend some real time looking at it this week, and just because I've never used that feature in Facebook, didn't even realize it existed. The fact that it's not available in Canada doesn't surprise me because I've been paying attention to this whole industry and publishers and linking and how the different countries are dealing with it. And Canada is definitely on that list of we're not paying for it, and so they took it out.
Interestingly, occasionally some of the news items, and there would be about 15 or 20 news items, and they would have local news included.
Yes. That sounds like an amazing feature that we're not using.
It sounds like a algorithm. What do you call
Say
it?
that again, Chester?
Where they select what you like and feed it to you.
An algorithm, yeah.
Algorithm, right? I couldn't find the word.
I like your version of it. It sounds like a mythical creature. Been attacked by the algorithm.
Because it would have both national and local news.
Well, Google News is still very, very much available in that respect, and Microsoft News is available in that respect.
And interestingly, each news item was a pop-up window, just like I'm looking at here.
So I just accessed it on my.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, that's what it looks like.
Well, that's under facebook.com/news. And that's using Firefox.
Yeah. And you mean forward slash.
Or forward slash.
Yeah, they're always forward
It's
slashes.
forward. But that is on my MacBook using, what am I using? Probably Firefox.
Oh, let me try my Firefox browser.
I rarely use Google.
Oh, there's Firefox.
I'm on Google News, and it's got Canadian stories, business stories, technology, and hockey.
That's Google. Google is settled with Canada. They figured out a way to make it work.
Different.
Facebook said they would not.
Yeah.
Facebook's
Everybody's giving you the peace sign because there's 2 minutes left.
Okay, I will start up the next one.
And Fred, you had said maybe you have a topic for us in the next one? I'm gonna leave.
No, it does the same thing. Facebook.com/news brings up the help article again.
Yes.
Makes no sense. I'm ending this call. We're going over to the other call. Hello, hello. Oh, you know what? I might be. I can't hear anybody. Anybody talking right now? I can't hear anybody. Yeah, Jim's talking right now. Okay, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect because for some reason that's the profile of my computer doing Google Meet. So I will be right back. Oh, hold on a second. Let me let Fred in before I disconnect. Come on, Fred. And Chester. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back. Pardon me if you're saying something, I can't hear you. But I will in a second because that seems to be the fix, is getting out and getting back in. Come on, computer, do what you're supposed to do. Testing 1, 2, that's still working.
You can't hear me. Why can't you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh.
Or me.
I can hear you. I
Log
can hear all of you.
Okay. Now he's only got one person in. Carolyn, can you hear? I mean, James, can you hear us now?
There, now I can see you.
Okay.
All right. We can hear
We can
you.
hear you.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
You had 2 logins. You must have joined twice or something.
Something like that. All right. Sorry to disturb everyone.
There were 2 of you on there. I'm not sure. You cloned yourself without even knowing it, but you were conflicting with each other.
It's typical of clones.
Yeah.
You never get along in the movies.
Right.
So I just realized all the browsers that I tried are Chrome-based browsers. I have not tried Firefox. So I'm going to start that up now and see if I can go into Facebook News. Wouldn't it be interesting if my experience is based on Chrome-based browsers? Safari is not. The Safari in your iPad and in your iPhone is not. Facebook. News. They must have the music up where you are, Cheryl. No, and
Yes.
Firefox does the same thing. This is so infuriating. I'm typing in facebook.com/news. Is there anything that seems odd about that? That's what you guys are doing, right? Facebook.com/news on Firefox.
Exactly.
And when I hit enter, it redirects to the help center. It doesn't give me an error. It gives me the article we were just reading, or the help document we were just reading. And it's everywhere. It's on 2 different computers. It's in 4 different browsers.
So what do you think about this? Is it because we are in Mexico?
I'm not in Mexico.
I know. Cheryl and I are.
Yeah, but Cheryl's
James
getting
is.
chastised for having a Canadian account. Cheryl, you're muted.
Sorry, I just tried it on Facebook, on Safari, the way you did. Facebook.com/news. I got to log into Facebook or create new account. The link you followed may be broken or the page may have been removed.
I don't
Try
have that experience at
Firefox.
all.
I don't think I have Firefox on my phone.
Safari
Well,
has
and-
been really horrible lately. It takes forever to load anything, and so I've pretty much changed it on everything to use
Well, and
Firefox.
to be clear that on iPhone and iPad, Firefox, as far as I know, is still Safari with a Firefox wrapper on it, just like Chrome is a wrapper, because it's all using the WebKit engine, not the Chromium engine. Because up until recently, and I think that's changing. I think that's just now changing with this version of iOS, the 17 version, because they have to be compliant with European standards, and they need to stop having a monopoly on the browser engine. And so I think just in this last period of time, I think this will be the last year that will be the case. We'll actually have an engine made for Firefox that can run on the iOS devices.
So Safari is an iOS browser. And you said which ones are Google-based? Chrome?
The Chromium based. So there's Chromium, there's WebKit, and there's Mozilla.
Okay, Mozilla. And now what about like Google Chrome, it says, but Opera and Firefox, what are they?
Well, better I say it like this. Opera, Edge, Chrome, Brave, those are all the Chromium engine. And you should look at this the same way, like if vehicles, if everything had a Chevy motor, right? It's a Toyota, it's a new Nissan, it's a Chevy, it's an Impala, but they all have the same motor. And then, I mean, that's obviously not true, and I obviously don't know about cars, but that's the metaphor. That's the Firefox browser is the only one that uses the Mozilla engine, aside from special projects that have integrated it into things like the Ubuntu operating system. But Firefox is the browser that runs the Mozilla engine, and Safari runs the WebKit engine. And up until recently, because of Apple's terms of service, you could not put a web browser on an iOS device. You could put it on a Macintosh laptop or desktop, but you could not put it on an iOS device like an iPhone, iPod, iPad, unless it used the WebKit motor. So when you got Edge on your iPhone from Microsoft, it was WebKit from Apple, but it had this Edge wrapper around it, and it would tie into Microsoft services, like the underlying engine. It's that Chevy. And the same for Firefox, the same for Chrome. When you use Chrome on an iOS device, up until recently, and I haven't been paying attention to when that change is occurring, but it's definitely this year. It either has just happened or it's just about to happen. But and these developers have to make these engines available on this platform. The assumption is developers like Firefox with Mozilla or Google with Chrome. The assumption is they already have it ready. They're waiting for Apple to allow it to happen, and then they would push it onto the Apple device. So I think whenever it happens, we're not going to be aware of it. It may have already happened. When you upgraded to 17 and it started updating applications for it, it may have switched over to that individual engine instead of the WebKit engine. But I'm fairly confident that any of us that are still on 16, all of our web browsers are using WebKit on our iPads and our iPhones.
Okay, so two things. Can you mute Judy because she's not around, and Firefox Private Safe Browser Utilities came up when I searched browser on my phone. So I went to install it, and it says get it and open it. It doesn't tell me anything about WebKit or how it got here.
No, no. In fact, like I was saying before, like if you put Firefox on your iPhone, everything about
Yeah.
it will feel like a Firefox experience. You will
Okay.
be able to use your Firefox account to keep track, to synchronize bookmarks and look at your history, keep your passwords. All of those are going back to the car metaphor. Those are the side mirrors, and those are the seat coverings, and that's the power locks of the vehicle you're in. But the motor is still a Chevy.
Okay. So now I'm trying in Firefox, facebook.com/news, and see what I get. Same thing.
What's
the
that?
link you followed, the link you followed is no longer available.
Yeah, I don't get that message at all.
The link may be broken or the page has been removed. So, oh well. I'm just still going to get my news elsewhere. Sorry, Chester.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. I've never used, other than people sharing news sources, I've never used Facebook as a source for news.
Well, while we were switching over, I went on Facebook News, and there were two items, as there usually is. One had to do with the Iceland magna that's flowing, and the other was a congressional news, but only the two items. So it's the same old, same old.
Okay, I got two things to add to what we were just talking about. I missed it. It has been, Apple's been working on allowing it since last year. So there's articles like Apple to now allow Chromium. Oh, and this is the second thing. I said there's two things. The second thing is it's not Mozilla, it's Gecko. Mozilla is the organization. Gecko is the name of the engine. So Apple's the organization, WebKit is the name of the engine. Google is the organization, Chromium is the name of the engine. Well, in that respect, Opera, Microsoft, Google, Brave are the organizations, and they all use the Chromium engine. But it says that since the last draft, the EU draft, this is in the middle of 2022, Apple has announced that they're going to allow these other browsers. I can't get a definitive date, but in February 4th, 2023, at the beginning of this year, there's an article with Google saying they're working right now to get Chromium on the iPlatform. They shouldn't have to work too hard, so I'm suspecting it's on it now. Google working on browsers for, yeah, this is all in February. But I can't find a definitive answer now. It could very well be that we are just this year starting to use these different browsers. I mean, none of this is affecting whether you can get Facebook news, and that's what we proved by going to all these different platforms and looking it up. We all had different experiences with it, but it doesn't seem to be browser related. I'm just amazed between 3 different devices in front of me, whether signed into Facebook or not, I cannot have the experience Chester's having or Cheryl's having or Judy's having. My experience is uniquely different from all those experiences. Very strange. Needless to say, I am going to continue to look into it throughout the week because that
Do you work on a VPN up there?
No, I don't. And that's a good thought too, because that could, Like if I could like imagine experience, I could imagine finding myself in a place like Canada, and all of a sudden my access to Facebook News is gone. And I'm like, well, what happened to my link? And I do some research and find out, oh, Facebook didn't want to pay publishers in Canada for access to news, so they just shut it down. I'd be like, that's great. Turn on my Express VPN, go to the United States, all of a sudden my link's back. This is what I would imagine the experience to be. But nothing about what we've shared today makes it feel like that's the way it's working at all. There's something else going on. It's almost like some kind of fingerprinting that's going on. It might even be, we might even be looking at something like maybe all I get is, maybe they're filtering out the whole news side. This all started with Chester saying, how come I don't have as much news as I normally do? These could be indications that they're just shutting down news. In fact, maybe that's a Google search we should be looking at. Well, what's happening to Facebook News? Because Facebook Meta might decide, well, we don't want to be in that business at all. That's a Google business to begin with. That's not our business. Let's just start working our way out of it. And that might be what we're watching, is we're watching the depreciation, the deprecation of the news system in Facebook that none of us have paid attention to until Chester pointed it out.
Mine just updated 3 minutes ago with the eruption in Iceland.
How many articles do you have?
Hold on. Again, I'm on Firefox, and I have
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, that sounds like a respectively working system, whereas Chester's got 2.
Yeah, that sounds normal, but all I got today was 2. All I got yesterday and last week was 2.
Hey, Chester, have you tried going to it in a different browser? Maybe your experience is a browser experience. Maybe
No,
there's
I
something.
haven't, but I will once we're all done here.
Yeah. Maybe your experience is a cookie thing or a broken history thing, a temporary file thing. I would just try another browser to see if it changes your experience.
But what about your experience, Scott?
Yeah, no, it's going to require some research.
Did you try Edge?
Yeah, I did try Edge and had the exact same experience. It just kept redirecting me to the news help document. And I just found a Verge article from September titled "Facebook's Unloved News tab is going away in Europe." And there's a synopsis here that says Facebook News was only available in the US, UK, Germany, France, and Australia. After the changes to go into effect in Europe in December, it will be left in the US and Australia. News accounts for less than 3% of what users around the world see in their Facebook feed, according to Meta. Now, I know that I've had experiences where Facebook has confused my Facebook account. At times it's thought it was a Mexican account. Other times it thought it was a US account. I don't know if that accounts for my experience or not. And here's a Wired article from September of this year that's titled, "Facebook is giving up on news again." September again, CNBC, Facebook is getting rid of the news tab in Europe. It may just be growing pains. It may, a service like Facebook has so many servers out there. They're duplicating so much data so that you're able to have your experience wherever you happen to be, and they're able to scale to everyone that's using it. Maybe it's just this wave going through the system of growing pains as they're making changes to that whole service. Here is from October, a Washington Post headline: No news in Facebook feeds is good news for Meta. They're really trying to get away from news. Deprecated news in UK and Germany. It's all from this year.
Sounds like what is happening. They're only giving me 2 to discourage me from using it.
Maybe. But I'm surprised Judy would have such a robust listing. I'm more likely to believe that they're misinterpreted because they're trying so hard to tailor these experiences to policy. Just like the Canadians are getting messages saying you can't use this anymore. I feel like it's a developmental wave. They're not able to give people the correct experience under all cases because of the way they push things out and they make changes, and they're dependent on geographic locations. They're dependent on the region that is set for the account that they're giving information to. It's not a perfect science, apparently. Reinstating the new. Oh, this is interesting. Reinstate the news feed from Facebook. No, I'm going to stop now. All news in Canada will be removed from Facebook. That was August of this year. It also doesn't help that we've always, since the beginning of Facebook, back with MySpace, as well as with Twitter, Friend Finder. I don't know if you guys remember that, these social networks, we've always referred to that feed as a news feed. And so that in itself gets caught up in the Google searches, whether you're looking at Facebook's news system or if you're looking at Facebook news feed, your feed. Well, guys, we have been at this for, I guess, almost an hour, over an hour. We should probably bring it to an end, even though we didn't hit any of my topics, and I don't care. I like my topics, but I don't care.
Yes, you do.
We used one of them.
Which one did we do?
The first one, didn't we?
No, I don't think we got any of them today.
Oh,
Robotic mice, sodium batteries, and
robotic. Yeah.
And the flipper. I'm going to leave the flipper on there because I think we ought to talk about it at some point. It's a cool idea.
The mouse was interesting.
Say that again?
That mouse with the flexible spine was interesting.
Yeah, I recommend reading those. If you guys, it goes into great detail of how important that organic structure was to the efficiency of the robot they were building, and consequently, they've learned that they're going to be considering those kinds of design changes in future robots. But it's really interesting, cutting edge stuff. I am going to pull that off for next week, and I'm going to pull off I put the sodium batteries just because it's an older article. Sid came up with it. He came up with the flipper, which I want to get into next week. But what it is it's a rehashing of all these battery technologies we're looking at for replacing lithium ion. It goes into good detail of why we use lithium ion and why the alternatives haven't been so good, but it gives all these promising paths that we're on. One of the things that I did find very eye-opening to me was the power package to expect from the alternates. In fact, I'm bringing up the article right now. And they've got a graph down here that shows. That's not it. It's just a pretty picture. Where's the graph? It shows the power performance per package. There it is. The energy density of different technologies at different points of development. And you can see where in the article they say lithium ion with batteries have been built with nickel and cobalt. And most recently, they've been pulling those chemicals out because they're rare earth items. They make environmental issues. They create more environmental issues in taking them out of the earth as well as disposing the batteries later. And so the latest lithium ion battery development is without nickel and cobalt, making them more earth friendly. But what we're looking at here, if you can see it on my screen, is the energy density of these various technologies at different periods through different years. And even though sodium ion is right now on the chart, it's still the lowest performer. It's not even up there to compete with any of them. And unfortunately, the cobalt and nickel-free batteries, they can't provide the same power per an area, power density. And so it kind of it left me a little disturbed and like, oh wow, so we're going to be using these rare earth metals for a while, because it's not even the sodium ion, it's just barely half the energy density of the latest sodium or lithium ion technology that we're aware of.
Some of the people in Vancouver Island are buying cars, these EVs. There's one called the Bolt, and it's kind of like an urban car. It's not meant for long distances and so on. But we live on an island, and we're from the capital, Victoria. We live, I think it's maybe 150 kilometers, and they're very happy with the Bolt, and it's just a plane. The plainest Jane car you could possibly imagine, but price was right, and they're finding it works adequately for them. So I think people are going to start to look at cars, because we buy cars that could drive to New York if we wanted to.
Yeah,
we don't really need that, right?
That's right. I mean, it's all that range that battery. What do they call that? It's you get stressed out because you're worried about charging the battery. You don't get the range that you're expecting, and you don't have the infrastructure that you're used to. So if you're running out of gas, you can reliably expect a gas station to be coming along. You can't reliably expect to be able to charge your vehicle coming along. And that range anxiety is what they call it.
Range anxiety. Well, these friends of ours have discovered places where they enjoy being while their car charges up, and because they do have to charge up on that 300 kilometer round trip. But rather than going to the edge, they have found nice places to do it earlier.
Yeah, I was just reading some interesting article about parking in the future, and how it will be serving multiple purposes like that. Like you'd be parked because you need to charge your car, but you'd be parked in an environment that would be there'd be like a dozen other things that are going on in that space, because you're parked for more than just parking the car. You've got other functions that parking lot is doing for you.
They can go to their a library, which is a regional library, so they can return the book anywhere along the island.
It's very interesting. I feel like we need to cut this off. Is there any recommendations that we'd like to throw in here at the last minute? Have we got anything? I got a blank list for shows, websites, podcasts. I will, on the fly, throw out a podcast I listen to regularly called Dark Net Diaries. And the last couple of episodes have just been awesome stories told by hackers and their experiences. This last one is talking about a guy that made his fortune selling on the dark net, and you get to hear his stories of how he would sell drugs wrapped up in plastic, and how he ended up getting caught, how he chose the U.S. Postal Service to do all this stuff because of the way the Constitution is set up that protected him. Dark Net Diaries, and that actually isn't the one that made me think of it. I'm trying to remember the last one I listened to. These are podcasts I'm recommending. I'm trying to bring up the last one I was impressed with because I'm not remembering the topic. Where is it? Default. The story of Default was a hacktivist.
A hacktivist?
Yeah. Is that the guy? No. Which one is? Yeah, that must be the one. It must be Default. Spelled D3F4ULT in Leet speak. That's how you would write default. D number 3 F number 4 ULT, and it's because the 3 looks like a backwards E and the 4 looks like an odd A, capital A. Darknet Diaries. He tells these great stories. He animates these stories of things that have happened on the internet that are all related to security and privacy, people being compromised. I know the one I was thinking of. Let me see if it is the story of somebody that had their identity stolen. And I mean, that's not a unique story, but what's unique is the lengths they went to shut it down, and how many iterations, how long this followed. They were this woman is telling a story about how her nude photos of her had ended up on the internet. And it's not like she was posting nude photos. If there were photos, they were private. And what was more distressing, she was being harassed by somebody that was close to their family. They didn't realize at the time. And he was able to get a hold of photos that no one should be able to get a hold of. And one of the things that when you hear these stories, you're like, they should never recorded themselves having sex. They should never have taken it. I mean, you're like it's a good rule of thumb. Don't be naked in front of a dirty digital camera, because who knows where that might end up. And it was really one of those cases. This family, she's actually a twin, and her sister had done a photo shoot, which had been suggestive but not nude. And nude photos from that photo shoot ended up out on the internet on these revenge sites, these sites where you post them to compromise someone. But they couldn't figure out why there would even be nude photos. Well, it turns out that whoever got a hold of these photos got a hold of this CD. Oh, it's so complicated. They had done these professional photo shoots. Her sister had done these professional photo shoots. And it's one of those situations where they're literally like holding down the button on the camera, and it's just taking thousands of shots, or just rolling through shots. And she's moving around in a suggestive attire that it caught a boob slipping out. It caught, a little piece of her privates. It was never intended to be a photo. That wasn't what they were making, but because what they were making had her revealed by accident, and because of the way they were taking the photos, all these photos were handed to them after this professional photo shoot on a CD or a DVD. Later on in life, like years later, they're digitalizing all their like everybody does. They're just digital. They have boxes of DVDs and floppy disks and CDs of photos. And so they're just digitalizing them in bulk. And so they end up in like a Google Photos. So they weren't even aware that there were nip slips. That's the terminology for it. Nips, a nipple popped out, nip slip. They weren't even aware that those existed. They just happened to be in the same collection of the DVD, and so it got digitalized all at the same time. And then that ends up what this person gets access to. And they had spent time going through every frame until they found one where it was revealing, and they set that aside to post out on the internet. And this went on for years with this woman. And so it's just a deep story, and he does deep stories into these kinds of compromises. It really gives you a good insight into the kinds of things you should be protecting yourself against, things that are difficult to imagine would actually happen. That's one story I'm describing, but Darknet Diaries as a podcast is one that's easy to recommend. It's enlightening for the things that you should be concerned about, and it's very entertaining, very interesting drama to listen to. All real stories. So that's my recommendation for the day.
Well, when we see you again, we'll all know whether we were naughty or nice.
That's right. I wore my Christmas cap. I want
Yeah.
to say Merry Christmas to all you folks out there. Happy Hanukkah, or however you celebrate the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll check in from, if I can get a connection from where we are in Pine Top Tuesday. I'll jump on and say hi if you guys are going to be out there. But I don't know if I'm going to be successful or not, so I don't want to guarantee it.
So that's Boxing Day. And then the following one, the 2nd. Okay, we're definitely doing one on the 2nd, or are you in Costa Rica then? Or
I'm in Costa Rica then.
okay.
It's going to be my wedding anniversary.
Oh, there you go.
And so Costa Rica's New Year's, wedding anniversary, and wedding. Not quite in that order, but yeah, with Justin's wedding.
Oh, I'm going to hear about Costa Rica when you get there.
Happy 25th.
I'm sorry, I've said Costa Rica too. It's Puerto Rico we're talking about.
Puerto Rico. Oh,
Puerto Rico is where we're going.
That's even more interesting.
It had a Rico.
It's a Rico, yes.
It's a Rico, that's right. Not a Rico act. We're not organized crime or anything.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll probably see you on Boxing Day and check in anyways.
That sounds good.
I finished the TV series 6 Feet Under. Finally finished watching it. It was really interesting characters and quite the tale.
Are you a Dexter fan?
Dexter. I've never gotten into Dexter. Why is it along the lines?
Well, now you might, because that's Anthony Michael Hall. Hey, I think that's his name, right? Anthony C. Something like. The main character, Michael C. Hall. That's who it is, I think.
Michael C. Hall. Okay. Yeah. No, I thought I'd seen him before somewhere, but anyways, a friend has recommended one that I haven't looked up yet, but it's on Netflix, Australian Solicitors, and it's called Fisk, F-I-S-K.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, it's very good?
Yeah.
You'd recommend it, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm going to try that one next. So
You said F-I-S-K, Fisk?
Fisk.
And as a matter of small interest, the new Reacher series started last week.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've watched the first 3. I'm a Reacher fan.
I never read the books, and I thought Tom Cruise did a lousy job. I did not like the movie.
The guy that plays Reacher in this is more of the impressive size that he should be.
That's what I heard, and I didn't watch it. I think you might have recommended it for the first season,
maybe.
And I finally just sat down and started watching it, and it was so good.
Is that on Prime?
It's on Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Prime.
Yeah, totally worth it.
And it's one of those once a week for the whole series. Except there was 3 episodes to start you off, so you sit and wait. You can't binge it unless you wait till the end and start. You can't binge it like somebody we know.
It was good to binge
while I had my knee covered in ice.
Yes.
So
I got to let you guys go. I've got a meeting starting in just a few moments.
Yeah.
All right.
okay, well,
Hope you feel better, Cyril.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you guys. Tech on.
Tick on.
Well, there we go. We've done it again. That was the San Carlos Computer Club. Like always, if you liked that, check out scclub.org. And if you're out there looking for solutions to computers, give my business a shot, Scott at internationalcs.net. I can many times reach through the internet remotely and solve whatever the issues are that you have. Until next week, or actually until after the new year, this is the last official meeting for 2023. So I'll see you after the new year. Until then, everybody, Merry Christmas or whatever it is you're celebrating for the holidays, and tech on.